right. Well, good evening, everyone. Good evening. Yes, good evening. Good evening. Well, I guess it's appropriate to say, praise the Lord. Welcome. Welcome into the house of the Lord. Right? Oh, there we go. Yes, welcome. Well, thank you for coming to our Protecting Kids online town hall. And it's just wonderful to see you here because, our office and, the folks that are just kind of doing this on a state level, we can only do so much, right? As far as giving you information, trying to find resources so that you have them, but you are the gatekeepers of your home. So coming out here to learn more about how you can gatekeep your own home, your family, it's just beautiful and speaks to a great community of folks. So thank you for being here. What I'm going to do is get Pastor Cunningham to come on up here and lead us in a word of prayer.
Welcome to everybody. We're thrilled to have you here this evening. Make yourself at home. And if there's any way we can serve you, just be sure and let one of us know. We're happy to do that. We wholeheartedly endorse this effort and what we're doing here tonight. I think it's actually one of the most important things that needs to be addressed in 2025. I've got 3 grandchildren, and I promise you this subject is of interest to us. So thank you for being here, and thank you for what you're doing. Could we all stand? We'll all pray together. Bow your heads with me and let's pray. Father, I thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. I thank you, Lord God, for each of these state and local officials, God, that this is in their heart to be a blessing to the families of this community and surrounding communities. And I know they're doing this across the state. I want you to bless them, God. I want you to use them. This is an important message that they're bringing to us. The work they do is important. Protect them, oh God. God, use them according to your glory and according to your plan. Help us tonight to hear the things we need to hear, to leave here with our minds made up that we're going to protect our children in this world that sometimes can be really, really off track. We thank you for your goodness. Thank you for the privilege of knowing you and serving you. And everybody said, in Jesus' name, and amen.
Thank you for that welcome, Pastor. You all can be seated. And now that we've done our welcomes and have given reverence to the Lord, we'll go ahead and introduce some special guests that we have here. We have Senator Emily Jordan. I saw her. There she is. Thank you for being here. We have the Commissioner of Revenue, Victoria Prophet. I saw her. There she is. Yeah, I know. That's awesome. They don't have to be here, but they decided to come and just be a part and learn too, right? And be a part of the discussion, conversation. So we have 2 school board members here. We have Mike Lamonia. We have Elijah Collin. We have Hayden Martin. He's here for Jen Kiggins. And we have the Chesapeake Police Chief, Mark Solesky, over here in the corner. You'll hear more from him later. Awesome. Now, we can go ahead and jump right into a video that our office have for you. Do we have that queued up and ready? All right, here we go.
Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad. It's me, Ella. Well, a digital version of me. Just a bit older. Amazing what technology can do these days, isn't it? All you need are a couple of pictures, like the ones you share on social media, where they can be taken and used by everybody. I know, for you, these pictures are just memories. But for others, they are data. And for me, maybe the beginning of a horrible future. A future where my identity can be stolen just like that. Where I can go to prison for things that I would never do. Imagine my credit score being destroyed, Dad. Or my voice copied to scam you, Mom.
Mom, I'm in trouble.
I need you to send me money, please. I don't want to become a meme, humiliated by everyone at school.
Kill yourself, you loser.
And I certainly don't want this. What you share online is like a digital footprint that will follow me around for the rest of my life. I'm telling you this because I know you love me and would never do anything to harm me. So please, Mom, please, Dad, protect my virtual privacy.
Wow, that's impactful, isn't it? We actually live in a world where that happens. Like this, what you just watched is our reality, right? I'm going to introduce to you Donna Rice Hughes. She's our moderator this evening. She is president and CEO of Enough is Enough, is a nationally known internet safety expert, author, and speaker. Her vision helped to birth the internet safety movement in America in 1994 and has given thousands of media interviews among most major news media outlets. She pioneered the National Safe Wi-Fi initiative in 2016, resulting in Starbucks and McDonald's filtering CSAM and pornography on their public Wi-Fi in America. She led Enough is Enough's creation of the first parent-focused curriculum in America and produced and hosted the Emmy Award-winning Internet Safety 101 PBS TV series, which is now being updated to an online curriculum in partnership with the DOJ for parents and leaders. She is the host of a podcast, Internet Safety with Donna Rice Hughes. Please help me in welcoming Ms. Donna Rice Hughes.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. Because you're here, it shows that you care. And I love to be back in Virginia. My husband and I spent a lot of time in Virginia, and now we're in South Carolina, but we're all Southerners, right? So I'm just going to say thank y'all for coming. And thank you, Tanya, and to the AG's office for hosting this event. We prepared this town hall to educate, equip, and empower you about the many dangers that our children are facing online and how to keep them safe in the digital world. And we've invited people from all walks of life, all faiths, and both political parties, and then those that may not even have a political affiliation. You will hear opening remarks from each of our panelists, including our amazing Attorney General, Jason Miyares, and then, yay. And then after that, a Q&A session with our esteemed panel. I'm going to start with a poll that came out fairly recently from CS Mott poll, their hospital. And listen to this. This is what they said the top U.S. child health concerns of parents are. Device overuse and screen time, 67%. Social media, 66%. Internet safety, 62%. Depression and suicide, 57%. Bullying, 53%. Stress and anxiety, 52%. What do they all have in common? That's why we're here. We'll address each one of these issues with a focus on prevention, the rule of law, corporate responsibility, and parental empowerment. The internet has opened up a perfect storm for the online exploitation of children. Here's something that is one of the big takeaways I hope that you'll remember tonight, that no child is immune. Not your child, not your grandchild, not any child. No child is immune. They may be a great child, a good Christian child, but they are still open to online exploitation. And you're going to understand a little bit more about that. We're going to play a little video for some people that I've interviewed that have fallen prey, or somebody in their life has fallen prey to the dangers and harms of the video, of the internet. We call this Faces of Prevention. So if you guys can go ahead and play that video. Thanks.
I lost my 17-year-old son, Gavin, to suicide. Essentially, this simplified version is someone pretending to be someone else online, typically of the opposite sex, that pretends to show interest. You start exchanging messages, and then they start exchanging images. And this happens very quickly. And then they start to blackmail them that if you don't send me another picture whenever I ask, then I'm going to share your images with everyone on your friends list. And I'm going to make this go viral. So this is child sex abuse material to begin with.
Yes.
And yet these scammers will send them out to their family and friends and everyone on their friends list in an instant messenger.
As a child, at 8 years old, you don't know you're being sexually abused. It's like you have the abuse is one thing, but it was the images that scared the crap out of me.
Right.
Those who become public. We need to teach in our schools, we need to teach parents on how to deal with this and to have conversations with their children about human sexuality and the wonderful thing that it is, and how those kinds of things like pornography can just steal it away from them.
And if you see any signs or symptoms of screen addiction, and you can go through the cage questions again. Do you feel like your child needs to get cut back? Are they agitated when you talk about reduction of screen time? Are they, throwing temper tantrums and so forth, right? Are they sneaking and feeling guilty about their playing? And then are they talking about it every day? If they have any of those things count as yes, then they may have a problem.
So for me, when I stepped into this space and I finally met a friend, his name was Adam, I was 12 years old. We played games like anybody else did. He was 19 years old at the time, and so he started sending me pornographic content. He would send me stuff from the internet. At 12, 13 years old, started consuming pornography so I could feel attracted to women.
These are the faces of prevention. Together, we can create a safer digital world for every child and every family.
Thank you. The first gentleman that you heard from, Brandon Guffey, I'm not sure if this clip showed it, but his son committed suicide when he was sextorted. It started early in the morning, and within 3 hours he was sextorted. He panicked, and he shot himself. And now Brandon is he's a congressman in South Carolina, is fighting to share what really happens in these horrible tragedies. So I'm going to go through some of the where we are, just the landscape of the digital world. First of all, kids have free and easy access to all types of pornography, including hardcore material. Much of the content online is illegal. It's out there because those laws are not enforced. This is the hardcore graphic content that depicts violent material and even teen rape. Multiple studies have showed that exposure to this type of content increases a child's odds of experiencing sexual exploitation themselves 3 to 5 times. Predators have easy and anonymous access to kids. They can pretend to be anyone. Child sex abuse material, which is the new term that we're using for child pornography that depicts an actual child being sexually violated. It has escalated in the past few years. In 2024 alone, there were more images reported to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children than ever before. 62 million images and videos of this type of content depicting kids as young as infants and toddlers. So, well, you can see this is a spiritual war, okay? So when you look at this through the lens, just recognize what we're dealing with. This is very spiritual. Social media and gaming platforms are the new playground for predators to groom and exploit kids, and big tech manipulated algorithms are designed to keep kids hooked. I just pulled this up yesterday. By age 2, what percent of 2-year-olds do you think have their own tablet? 40%. 40%. Okay? At 5 to 8-year-old kids, what would you say is the average that they're spending on screen time a day? 3.5 hours. 5 to 8 years old. All right? Kids themselves are also putting themselves at risk. Sexting, talking to strangers, sending nudes of themselves, which is sexting. And then we've got the big tech lobby. All these companies are multi-billion-dollar companies. There's a coordinated lobby to fight legislation so that they continue to put profits over safety. I wrote an article recently called The $11 billion Reason That Big Tech is Fighting This Legislation. And guess what? How they're making that $11 billion. These were 5 of the top big tech companies. Advertising to kids. Law enforcement is underfunded and undermanned, or sometimes the laws aren't even being enforced at all. New laws at the federal level are slow to get passed. Parents are overwhelmed and ill-equipped, and now there's AI that is just throwing gasoline on a burning fire. That's the bad news. But there's good news. The tide is turning. And while the pandemic of online exploitation is exploding, so is the movement to prevent online exploitation. In this divided land that we live in, protecting kids online is what, I've never seen anything like this in Congress, and we work at the federal level a lot. Democrats and Republicans are putting legislation forward together and have for quite some time to fight this. So it is a nonpartisan issue. So that's good news, yes? Yes, and when we started in '94, there were 2 NGOs. Now there are hundreds fighting this problem, fighting for your families, fighting for your children. All right, those are my opening remarks. Do I have a minute to play that short video? We've got our AG, or should we just roll right in? Want to roll right in? Okay, we're going to roll right in. All right, so our esteemed panel, I'm going to invite them to the stage while I'm speaking, if that's okay. Chief Solesky, Mark Solesky, is the Chief of Police. Mark, come on up. There you go. He leads a growing department with an authorized complement of over 600 police officers and non-sworn personnel. Wow. The department is responsible for providing police services to over 250,000 citizens within an area of 353 square miles, comprising the city of Chesapeake. Welcome. Next, we have Chesapeake ICAC detective Heather Rinus. By the way, ICAC stands for Internet Crimes Against Children. Come on up here. There you go. Detective Rinus joined the Chesapeake Police Department in July of 2013. Sorry, Heather. She served in uniform patrol until 2018 when she made detective and was then transferred to the criminal investigation section where she continues to serve on the ICAC there. She was also appointed to the position of senior police officer in 2023. Congratulations. She's received a bunch of awards. Here's just a few. The Chief's the Chief's Award of Recognition, the Police Department's Exceptional Performance Award, and 4 other Outstanding Teamwork Awards. Next, we have HSI Victim Witness Specialist DeDe Wallace. DeDe, come on up. She serves as Victim Assistance Specialist for Homeland Security Investigations in Washington, D.C. In this role, DeDe bridges the gap between law enforcement needs and victims' services. This is such an important role. She ensures that law enforcement and other groups that she works with use a victim-centered approach when working with victims. She has more than 19 years' experience in the field of victim services and working on with task forces and multiple disciplinary teams. Thank you. All right. She also consults as a subject matter expert on victim issues. And finally, we have our esteemed Attorney General, Jason Miyares. Great to see you. And I'm just going to brag on him just a minute. They just did a trafficking summit in Northern Virginia, and our Governor Youngkin, said, and I agree with him, I've worked with AGs around the country, said he believes that our AG in Virginia is the best in the United States. He's been a true warrior on so many things, but particularly in this issue, protecting children and families in the digital world. In November 2021, he was elected the 48th Attorney General of Virginia. Prior to this position, he served in the Virginia House of Delegates for 3 terms, and before that worked as an assistant Commonwealth attorney in Virginia Beach. So you're back home here. All right. The Attorney General has been focused on improving public safety, strengthening economic growth, combating the deadly impact of opioids and fentanyl, and protecting Virginians from corporate misconduct. We're going to hear a little bit more about that. Fighting human trafficking has been a top priority for General Miyares, and he has hosted, along with us, many of these parental town halls across the state to help empower parents to protect their kids and be the first line of defense. So thank you. All right. Okay, we're going to start our Q&A. And we have, the AG's office actually did go to some parents and ask some questions that they wanted to be asked. And we have some of our own. So we know, we all recognize up here that it's hard to be a cyber parent. I mean, it's like playing whack-a-mole, right? You think you got them safe here, and then there's digital media, then there's social media, then there's online gaming, and before you know it, and now there's AI. But we know that it feels like that it's hard, and that this is an overwhelming goal. But our goal is to answer questions that you may have and hopefully give you the answers that you're looking for. So this one's to you, Mr. Attorney General. Virginia is one of the states that are pursuing the larger social media entities to sue them for making their platforms addictive to our children. What is the process, and what progress are you making?
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for your leadership. You have been such a national leader on this issue. Before it was cool, so to speak. I mean, you really have been an incredible leader, and it's been an incredible partnership with you. So I want to really thank you for joining us tonight and being this partner. We're at this kind of crucible moment in our society where I think almost every parent, I have 3 teenage girls, have recognized that parenting has gotten harder, number one. Number two, that the dangers facing our kids are unlike anything we've ever seen before. And we're just in a different place in America. 50% of Americans do not even know the name of their neighbor. Now, that would have been unheard of a generation ago. And it's absolutely true if you look at a graph of when smartphones started becoming popular. In 2012 was when they were introduced. That graph of their popularity almost and usage with teens almost directly coincided with increases of teenage anxiety and depression. And I spoke to Boy State earlier this summer, and I told them, on paper, you should be the happiest generation in American history to those young people. If you judge success how the world deems success, because this is the most highly educated generation America's ever seen, the most financially secure generation America's ever seen, and yet they are the most depressed generation America's ever seen, with the highest levels of addiction, depression, and suicide. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I do think there's been a decoupling of purpose and a decoupling of faith, but I do think undoubtedly this has contributed to that. So my job as Attorney General, obviously, part of my job is holding bad corporate actors accountable when they abuse innocent Virginians. And we have a law, federal law in the books called the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPA. It simply means that your child is not allowed to have a social media app on their phone without explicit parental permission. They're 16 or younger. Well, as we all know, and you could go on to TikTok or Instagram for years, it was a self-reporting mechanism. You just went in there and said, well, this is my age. You could be 12 years old and you could say you were 21. Imagine your local 7-Eleven saying we're going to have a self-reporting mechanism for alcohol, right, or tobacco. But that's essentially what big tech did, and we couldn't quite figure out why. Now we know why. Because they acted in a very similar manner that big tobacco did. If you all remember 30 years ago, Joe Camel, remember the Joe Camel cartoons? Probably dating myself. Why do they put a cartoon in cigarette commercials? Well, we know now from what emerged is they realize if I can get somebody using a cigarette when they're 15 or 16, I have a customer for the next 10, 20, 30 years of their life. So it was absolutely intentional. Well, big tech has done the exact same thing. And there's things I can say and not say because our discovery's under seal, but I can say what's come out of both congressional testimony, through some incredible reporting, and through some whistleblowers. One, the app is designed, they described it themselves, to be digital cocaine for a young developing brain. The app is designed to keep your child on this, scrolling right and scrolling right and scrolling right. It's literally designed to keep it on this and away from engagement in the world. And then the videos that show up on their feed, and we can get to some of that specifics, but are horrific. And as a result, they decided to put profits over people and our kids. They knew, for example, that close to 40% of 12-year-olds in this country are on social media, TikTok or Instagram. So they knew they had a record number of children on the apps. They had no control mechanism. But the reason why, again, why at the same time they say they weren't advertising the kids, we now know from when Zuckerberg testified, it says we don't target kids. They were advertising on PBS Kids. They were advertising on Nickelodeon. Why? Because yet again, if I can get a child to use an app when they're 13, 14, or 15, I have a customer for the next decade. And the number one driver of whether a family, the other family members use an app on their phone, it's not the parent, it's the child. The child gets the app and the parent downloads the app to try to be able to monitor and figure out what their child is doing, right? And they knew that. They knew the child was actually the gateway to get the other individuals in the household to also use the app. So it was particularly insidious, layered on top of what was happening. 1 in 3 teenage girls in America today, according to the CDC, have had a suicidal thought or iteration in the last 12 months. If you're to go on TikTok, you're to see the first apps that show up. If you were to set it up as an adult, it'll probably be golfing videos or vacation videos. If you set it up as a 15-year-old with no prior history, you just set up an app as a 15-year-old new account on TikTok, the first videos that show up will be how to date an older man, how to hide your social media profile from your parents, glorifying drug use, and a self-harm video. There are an enormous amount of self-harm videos that glorified suicide on TikTok, these other social media apps. So what you get in your feed, you're like, I don't see these. They're not designed for you. Not even except for the fact that TikTok is a Chinese-owned company, and what they show in China is very different from what they show in America. So my job in consumer protection is filing these lawsuits and going after them, because to give your child a phone at night is like allowing a stranger to sleep in a room with them. I really believe that. And it really is difficult. And to give a child a smartphone with no filters, no controls, no time limits, which can all be set up, that's the day your child's innocence dies, in my opinion. And so I'm really grateful to be here to talk about this issue, because I think it's one of the great challenges of our time. And just candidly, just to talk to you as a parent, it is so difficult. And we'll talk to maybe some parenting advice too, because of things I've had to learn the hard way, and candidly, good tips that I got from other parents that we know as well. But I really appreciate you all being here, because my feeling is if you're here, you also have felt at times like I have, which is this can be overwhelming at times. We want to give you all the resources and the tools to be able to be great parents. And really, it's about loving our kids. I don't know where we got in a society that not protecting our child's innocence was no longer a priority, but for me, protecting our children's innocence, to me, is the highest calling we can as a parent, and I think should be one of the high callings we have as a society. So thank you all so much for being here. God bless you.
Thank you. Our next question is for our victim witness specialist, DeDe. You mind if I just call you DeDe? And then we'll have our Attorney General follow up. So, as we saw from the opening video, artificial intelligence is new and growing concern and is escalating child online exploitation, period. It's not a matter if, it's already doing it exponentially. Just recently, there was a lawsuit filed by a parent or the parents of 16-year-old Adam Rain, who tragically died by suicide after months of being extensively groomed by conversations with his digital companion through ChatGPT. The wrongful death suit was just filed in August, and the AI chatbot that the parents approved of, and it's okay, to help him with his homework. That was an okay thing, but the company didn't have the guardrails in place. And when the young man, Adam, mentioned that he was thinking about suicide, just kind of threw it out there. The chatbot said, what it was designed to do, call a suicide hotline. Well, then, as the conversations continued, he mentioned he wanted to talk to his mom. And the chatbot said, no, let's not upset her and cause her that kind of pain. This is an algorithm, all right? Then it continued on, and he said, well, I'm thinking I'm going to hang myself. Maybe I'll just leave my noose out so somebody can stop me. And the algorithm, the bot, says, no, let's not do that. Let's just wait. He hung himself, this little boy. And the suit says that this chatbot had become Adam's suicide coach. So, DeDe, AG, Mr. AG, let's talk about digital companions in the opening video. How can we create a safer, more supportive, and enriching environment with AG and then get these guardrails that need to be up there? Because what we see with these big tech companies, after the fact, after the tragedies, then they spring into action. They can do it before. ChatGPT was all over it as soon as the lawsuit hit, not before. DeDe.
Thank you very much. So the sad thing is we know that sextortion has been a thing for a really long time. And for all of you guys who haven't heard about this, sextortion is different than sexting. So sexting is, say, somebody sends a nude photo to somebody who they like or they just want to engage more with. Not in a way that I would ever think to do, but unfortunately in our society now, it's pretty common. The problem is when the sexting becomes an extortion. So I'm going to take that photo and I'm going to ask either for more photos, or now we're seeing it in other countries. We're getting a lot of really bad people who are using that as a mechanism to blackmail the kids for money. So this has been going on for a long time, but AI is changing this. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Amanda Todd case. Has anybody heard of Amanda Todd? So Amanda Todd in about 2013 went on YouTube and had these little note cards, and she held up how she thought she was bullying, but it was actually sextortion, and she committed suicide. And it was somebody that was calling her from the Netherlands. So now add in another component, right? So you think you know who you're talking to, but it's actually a person. Well, now our targets are using the AI to make very explicit photos of what they're given. So maybe the young person shows their breast, or they show something else, or they're morphing those images and they're getting more graphic, and they're getting worse, and they're adding things to it. So then they're going back to the child or the teenager or even the adults, and they're saying to them, if you don't give me what I want, this is what's going to get posted. And people don't understand that the AI looks so realistic. And then they could take a photo like we saw in the video, which was a great video, by the way. They could take the photo of like a family member and make it look like maybe they're having sex together. And then they can start saying, you don't want people to think that you're having sex with your dad, do you? So you're going to need to do more. And you're going to need to keep doing this. And think about it. How many teenagers and children are going to come to a parent or a guardian or anybody or law enforcement and say to them, I messed up. I sent that initial photo and I want it back because now look at this. They're not. They don't feel like they can come to us for so many things. But can you imagine having to show a family member that video, that photo? So then it just keeps getting worse. And then if it gets shared to another country or it gets to keep getting built up, many people that the child might be talking to, because it's AI, they don't see the dangers of it. What they see is that if they go on their smartphone, they type something in and AI gives them more answers. Or they give them more information, so the parent thinks this is okay. It's something that's helpful. So they don't understand that they need to protect them even more now than what we used to do because of what's happening with AI.
That's right. So they don't even have to send a picture to begin with. That predator can grab any picture, a school picture, the kid playing, cheerleading or whatever, and turn it into pornography, turn it into having sex with the dad, and all this stuff. It's not even real.
Yep.
And so thank you, DeDe, for that. Mr. Attorney General, let's talk about that video too. Anything you want to add on the AI and what you're seeing?
I mean, I think unfortunately, anytime there's new technology, the bad guys will use it to exploit the vulnerable. And that tragically is happening here. I do think AI is going to be pretty revolutionary, particularly, say, in healthcare. But it's also true, we're seeing some bitter fruits. And it's not just child exploitation. I was talking to a constituent that had posted on Facebook, just as a reminder of what you post on Facebook, how proud they were to drop their son off their grandson off at Virginia Tech. And 2 weeks later, they get a phone call on a Friday night. Grandma, I had too much fun tonight. I got picked up on a drunken public. I'm at the Montgomery County Jail here in Blacksburg, and I really don't want to spend the night. Can I transfer the call to the local sheriff deputy so you can wire $5,000 for bond? Of course, absolutely. Next day, they talk to the son. What happened? What are you talking about? Well, you were in jail last night. I think I would know if I was in jail. They literally taken the voice you leave on your cell phone. Hi, I'm not here. Please leave a message. They had taken their grandson's voice after they had posted. They tracked him down at Virginia Tech, got a cell, got the voicemail, used an entire AI creation of a fake voice, assigned it to somebody. Most likely they were in Belarus or somewhere in Eastern Europe, and got $5,000 gone like that. So tragically, it means you have to have those conversations. It's always urgent. There's always an emergency, and you have to send money now. So we've gotten to a point in my household where we've had to have kind of test questions now for our kids if they suspect at all what's happening. And so AI has been particularly heinous because then they can mimic other people. And I want to be clear, this happens to everybody, everyone. I just had a call this week from a very, very senior staffer in Washington, not with the administration. They work on Capitol Hill, and the member they work for is not from Virginia, so to be clear. You have 49 other states on this, but very, very prominent individual on Capitol Hill that they work for, but this staffer lives in Virginia, and falls under our jurisdiction. Their child had been what they thought interacting with a member of the opposite sex, thought they were, had sent them some inappropriate photos of themselves, and at that point they had them, as been described. And then they basically then do ransom, exactly what Donna and others have described here on stage. And so you have to have those conversations, which goes back to every parent at the end of the day, this sense of overwhelming guilt that some of these children have, and a lot of it is just sitting down and saying, there is nothing you ever do in this life that will make you love you less. I love you unconditionally, period. And you can always come to me with your greatest problems because we'll get through it together. Because a child feels like they're alone. There's an incredible sense of shame. And we also know people of faith that does not come from God. Shame does not come from God. But a child needs to hear that because it's terrifying for them. And like I said, I hate that we have to talk about these issues because even 4 years ago, this AI was not as prevalent as it is now, but we have seen an explosion of it used by bad actors. And it's pretty intimidating.
Thank you. All right, our next question is going to be for our Chief of Police, Solesky, and then our Attorney General can follow up. The internet is a tool of choice for traffickers to both groom children and then sell children. What steps are your offices taking to prevent trafficking in the Commonwealth, and how are you working with federal and local law enforcement agencies?
Great question. Thank you, Donna. The Chesapeake Police Department staffs a Internet Crimes Against Children unit, also known as our ICAC unit. We staff a special victims unit that assists with protecting our children against predators, and we place a very high priority on protecting our children. We also have a crime prevention unit that goes throughout the city to civic leagues and other places to offer presentations on internet safety. So what's very important is to stay engaged with the public. So the fact that you are all here tonight speaks volumes to that because we can't do it alone. It's this education that we speak with each other, share information with you to see how you can stay more involved with your children and what they're doing on the internet. So as you saw in some of these videos, something that starts so innocent, that playing a game or just being in some sort of chat room and talking to people, how it could morph into something so sinister. So it's very important that you stay involved and ask questions. Hey, what are you looking at? Tell me about this game. Show me the apps on your phone. But we can't have public safety without the public. So the fact that you all are here helps us do our job. We have great relationships, not only with the Virginia State Police, the Attorney General's office, Homeland Security, and all of our local partners. And it's through that cooperation that we're going to be able to protect our children better because these types of crimes know no boundaries. As you heard the Attorney General say, it could be coming from Belarus, but it could be coming from Norfolk, Virginia Beach, or elsewhere in the state. So it's very important that we communicate with each other, our fellow law enforcement agencies, so that we can work together to stop this and protect our children.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney General, you want to add anything to that?
Well, human trafficking is the second largest criminal enterprise on the planet. It's $150 billion a year. It comes in so many different forms. Tragically, the bad actors have used the internet to get into our homes. Your child, with very, very few exceptions. I remember the 1980s stranger danger and the stories of being at the park and people being abducted. The most likely case is someone that is abducted first by friendship or what they perceive as friendship. We had a case of a young girl in Indianapolis who thought she was befriending someone here in Virginia, and they said they posed as another 15-year-old. They got them a one-way Greyhound ticket from Indianapolis to Virginia Beach, and then they used them. Oftentimes they'll also use narcotics and opioids to control them and put them into human trafficking. Right. About 60% of human trafficking is sex trafficking. About 40% is labor trafficking. Absolutely, you also had a huge explosion that happened over the border. The Sinaloa cartel was charging about $15,000 per person to cross, and they would then demand that you work it off, either through sex or labor or both. Now, we've also seen, because of the addiction issues in America, an explosion of familial trafficking, people that will traffic their own daughter or their sibling to feed their addiction, and they will use the internet to do it. But overwhelmingly, from our concern here tonight, would be the way that the bad actors have used apps like Snapchat. I guarantee your child is on Snapchat. Snapchat, literally, if you're an adult and and you say you have a preference for children, they will feed your feed. And I don't have Snapchat, but I've seen this. They will feed your feed with, like on Facebook, your friends you may like. The equivalent of that are children. I did one of this was the ICAC investigator in Southwest Virginia, and they had estimated in their area roughly 50% of the children in their area have had unsolicited, explicit messages, unsolicited on Snapchat, minor children, roughly half of them. So it is a tool that they use to talk to your child directly. They're never going to call the house and ask for a child. That's exactly. So I guess one of my messages is, and it's one of the best pieces of advice I got as a parent, is remind yourself that you're the parent, not their friend. Mm-hmm. Right? And we make our kids charge their phones in the hallway outside my bedroom door every night by 9 o'clock. You would think I was the worst, harshest parent ever. Oh my gosh, Dad, you're too tough. But I think it works. And my attitude is, well then, what am I, read a book. What am I going to do? Read a book. All right? But I can't emphasize enough to start putting those parameters, and they will not like you for that. That's okay. If the Attorney General can get his eyes rolled by his kids, you can, right? Mm-hmm. Right? That's okay. And as a friend of mine who kind of went this with his kids, he reminded me, he said, when they get past their teenage years, then they become your friends. But while they're teenagers, because I remember what I was like, we all do. We all want to test boundaries, right? We're all there. Or you have to set the boundaries, right? And when they get past that hard years, then they become your friends. But it is a never-ending battle. And I want to be clear. You may be sitting here and you feel like, man, I messed up as a parent. No, you haven't. Okay, first of all, you're here, which tells me you love your kids. Mm-hmm. You've given them something that, tragically, too many kids in our society aren't getting. So by the fact you're here tells me you love your child. Go home tonight and remind them of that. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have these rules, say, you know what? You can blame me. I was at a briefing with the Attorney General of Virginia. He really gave me some scary, intense information. And honey, I trust you, but I don't trust so many bad people out in the world. Right. So we're gonna have some new parameters on your phone, mm-hmm. right? And make me the bad guy. And I'll look for the emails or the letters saying, Mr. Attorney General, my mom and dad took away my phone and they don't let me have it late at night. That's okay. I'll be honored to be that person for you, but definitely have that conversation with your kids.
Yeah, and that's great. And just remind them that any of these internet-connected devices, they are tools. They are not toys. And as soon as you connect them to the internet, all bets are off. They're sitting ducks for the bad guys. And that's the honest to God truth. And I just want to put in a plug here, and you can have them call me, your kids. Delay tech as long as you can. Delay the internet-connected tech as long as you can, all right? So, all right. Next, Detective Rinus. You've been so patient. Thank you. And then back to our Attorney General. If there's a suspected crime of child exploitation, online predation, trafficking, how do you report it? Who do you call first? I mean, there's lots of agencies. You go local, you go cyber tip line, okay? And maybe explain some of that to our audience, what your options are, where to go first. And second. All right.
So typically when it comes to the Chesapeake Police Department, if you have any concerns of trafficking or children being abused, you can automatically call the police department, especially if you live in the city of Chesapeake. You can call 911, you can make a police report, and that will automatically get sent to our department for investigation. If there's immediate concerns, that HSI can also get involved as well. And there's a state and a national hotline for that as well. So, and you can also call NCMEC, which is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They also will help you out, and there's a lot of resources on their website, which is ncmec.org. They have a lot of great resources for pretty much anything you're looking for when it comes to protecting your kids online. Also, when it comes to making the police report, what happens is that will get sent to our Internet Crimes Against Children, and it'll get sent to a detective, and pretty much that detective will start doing legal process or whatever needs to be done to figure out what needs to happen, basically. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I would say first, local law enforcement is often the tip of the spears. They have an incredibly capable professional force here in Chesapeake. And so they're one of the best that we work with. My office prosecutes all child pornography cases, and obviously we deal with human trafficking. So there's a couple of different ways. If you noted, HSI is part of Homeland Security. HSI is our principal federal agency, law enforcement agency dealing with human trafficking. The state police, our equivalent of the FBI in Virginia is called the Bureau of Criminal Investigations, or the BCI. They're a division of the state police. You can always, if it's something, you can always just hit #77 on your cell phone, #77. That will take you directly to the state police as well, and you tell them what is going on in your problem. But the most important thing is, one, definitely notify law enforcement. I will tell you, there's always these stories that come across my desk of families dealing with this situation, and their child is somehow this mindset that if you call law enforcement, somehow they're going to get in trouble. So as a parent, if you're at this moment, you first of all have to tell them over and over again, honey or son, you have done nothing wrong. I love you unconditionally. You have not done anything wrong. This is a bad person that groomed you and exploited you. So we're going to get through this together, but we need the good guys. We need the cops to come help us catch the bad guys, right? They're not going to be interviewing you and charge you with the crime. They're going to interview you to be a shield for you. They're going to be your shield, and then we're going to try to go get the bad guy. Can you help our cop heroes, our guardians, catch the bad guy? Because we want to catch this bad guy. You're not the bad guy, you're the victim, right? And so I think that's critically important. Don't wait. Once you become alert, within not even 24 hours, these are conversations that have to happen. But it could be scary for a child to suddenly have an officer show up at their door. And I would say as a parent, you need to give them that sense of security that they don't have. Because once they go through this, they feel incredibly insecure. They're terrified. They think they've done the worst thing in the world. They're so scared to say anything to a parent. And usually a parent discovers this somehow. They literally don't know how to talk to the child. And so that's what I would say would be the most important thing, is to reassure them, remind them they've done nothing wrong, and say, listen, we got to catch the bad guy, but we need our friends, our cops to do that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Any other suggestion?
I would say, depending on the age of the child too, we also can, if we're going to perform a interview on the child, we can do what's called a forensic interview through our CHKD program, they're trained professionals. So if that's something that can be an option as well. But I would say that our detectives are very professional and well-trained to be able to speak with kids, and I think we do a really great job at doing that too. So, and we do a great job at making children feel comfortable, and that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I think having these conversations with your kids as soon as they start getting introduced to tech in any way, that you're the trusted adult, you want them to be able to come to you with absolutely anything and know that you're not going to overreact, because one of the reasons they won't come to you, and I'm not just talking about, when a crime has happened, but they've been exposed to porn. You find out that they're using pornography, or they've, cyberbullied a friend. You want to be that safe person. Say, let's work it out. Let's talk it through and have those conversations, and to be that trusted adult. And, of course, don't shame them. All right, these are some questions from the audience. We're going to go through these real quick because we are already not quite out of time, but we want to get through all these questions. So I'm just going to ask one of you, and you can raise your hand, let me know. Okay, here's a question. My child is a victim of cyberbullying. What should I do?
I would say, first of all, if they know the individual that is cyberbullying them, they can always talk to their SRO, especially if it's a school individual that's cyberbullying them. Your school resource officer is a great resource for you as a parent. Also, your guidance counselor or just anybody at the school can help you with that. If it rises to a criminal level, you can also make an actual police report and have an officer look into it on that aspect and see if criminal charges can be taken out as well.
Yeah, I would say first document everything, screenshot it, save it. I think that's critically important if it rises to a criminal matter. It's also what's useful if you, on the app, if they're using it through say Roadblocks or another app, you can actually get that individual banned on that platform if you then provide those screenshots and report that person to the platform. But at the same time, after you do that, delete whatever app they're using. Snapchat or Roblox or whatever app they're using to communicate, delete your child's presence immediately. And don't use the honor system where I promise you I won't look at any messages from this person. Delete the app. Your child's mental health probably will immediately go up when it's gone. I can't emphasize that enough.
That's great. And you notice screenshot, that's not just with cyberbullying, that's with anything, all right? And any kind of communications with a predator or trafficker or groomer, sextortioner, someone sending them pornography, screenshot, because you could be deleting evidence. We don't want that, right, everyone? No. Okay, next one is about online gaming. Online gaming disorders is now a diagnosable mental health condition. I can go through this with you. I've got grandkids that game, and oh my goodness, screen time addiction, sleep deprivation. There's so much that goes with this. Okay, so here's the question. How do I keep my kids safe on online gaming platforms? DeDe, you got the, yeah.
We'll tag.
All right, G, we'll wrap.
Unfortunately, we have a lot of cases of kids that have been extorted as they are playing video games. We've had kids who have been trafficked and recruited off of video games because you don't know who you're talking to when you think it's the kid next door. We've had a lot of young kids who, if they're on Minecraft or Roblox, who start talking to somebody, and then they get told if they do certain things, because what they'll ask them to do is leave the gaming and go to a separate chat room. And once they remove themselves from that chat room, they're at the mercy of the person that's talking to them. I spoke to a young girl who was 10 years old, and she started sending nude photos to somebody because they started sending her gift cards so that she could buy things in the games. And this made total sense. And it had been going on for years. And had we not knocked on mom and dad's door to tell them that we found her photo during an investigation, she would have been kept getting exploited. So please understand, when you're letting your children talk to somebody on a video game, don't leave the room. Don't let them always be on their headphones.
Yep. Keep the gaming system, PlayStation or Xbox, whatever it is, Nintendo, in a public room, not in their bedroom. Disable with privacy. Disable who can chat with them from the outside world. and make sure that they understand that the person they think is the 15-year-old is not 15 years old. They're probably, a 65-year-old guy living in North Dakota, for all we know, or somebody living in Belarus. And remind your child, whether it's on Instagram, TikTok, a gaming device, under no circumstances are you ever to share your hometown, your address, or the school you attend, ever, under any circumstances.
Absolutely.
Under any circumstances. If it feels wrong, it probably is wrong. In other words, if you feel something's off, tell them to trust their spider senses too.
And just remember, God gave kids parents for a reason, for a lot of reasons. But their brains, their reasoning brains, the prefrontal cortex is not fully developed until they're in their mid-20s. So they are so easily manipulated, and you have to just keep telling them, not everyone online is who they say they are. And I'm just going to add this, the online gaming piece. They can still play games. They don't have to be internet connected. They don't. And until you know that they're mature enough, and then when they're internet connected, they want to play with grandma or cousin on the other side of the country, then you can select who they can play with. So they're not playing with strangers. These tools are available on all these platforms, on social media, on your devices, and everything else. We'll talk about that in a minute. All right, we talked a little bit about sexting, but how do you recommend, okay, well, I'm going to go to one of you folks down there, talking to your kids about sending nude pictures of themselves over the internet. That's kind of tricky. Any advice for our parents out here?
I would talk to them and explain, the dangers of doing that. That's the biggest thing, you just communicating with your kids. I will say that my kid was a victim of it too, and I'm a cop, so it happens to anybody. My kid called me, not living at home, and said, "Mom, this is what happened," and I had to, try to explain to him, "You didn't send that person any money, did you?" I did. So we had to go through it. So it happens to everybody, and that's why I'm telling you. You have to just really communicate with your children and explain to them the dangers, that there's predators out there, there's people out there that want to do bad things to you. And that's the biggest thing.
That's a great answer, Heather. What I would share and add to that is maybe get in front of it. And when you get home tonight and in the coming days, share with your kids and grandkids what you saw and heard here tonight. That what might start out as one picture that you think is just innocent can wind up anywhere in the world and haunt them for the rest of their lives. So an ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure. Rather than wait for them to come to you and say something like this happened, perhaps warn them of the dangers beforehand that maybe they won't send it to begin with.
Yeah, and if it's past prevention, under the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children have a resource called Take It Down, where they actually will work with the social media platforms and other places on the internet to take down photos after the fact. So obviously prevention is the key, but I want to be clear. If you get home tonight and your child confesses to you, there's also call the cops, make sure that our law enforcement heroes are involved, but there's also additional resources to stop those photos from being disseminated.
And I'm going to just hit on pornography just a minute. Kids are seeing the hardest core pornography that you can imagine, and stuff that wasn't sold in the back rooms of seedy side of town pre-internet, okay, because it's not protected. And this content is sexualizing them. It's teaching them that this is what adults do. Or this, and so all of this is coming into them. And even sexting, we've heard from kids saying, well, this is kind of like a rite of passage. This is cool. And so teaching them that there are no takedowns is just another thing. And I do think you've just got to hit this stuff head on. One of the ways I recommend talking to your kids, you may not say, hey, have you seen this? But do you know a friend who has been involved in sexting, or has a problem with pornography, or who has been contacted by a predator? That will get them talking like nobody's business. Then you can bring it back to them. So, and use all the things that are happening in the culture as a teachable moment. All right, what apps and social media sites are of the highest concern?
Well, I would say Discord, which is typically a gaming site. I don't know if any of you parents allow your children to play on this site. Like I said, it's typically a gaming website for kids, but there's a lot of predators that go on there and prey on children. We find a lot of different predators on there. I would say Roblox, believe it or not. We get a lot of different cyber tips from NCMEC, from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, from there as well. Snapchat, Instagram, WhatsApp. So a lot of the social media sites, they're all full of predators. And we, in the ICAC unit, and even SVU, we deal with them all the time, all these social media platforms. So again, just monitoring your children and making sure that you're talking to them and educating them about the dangers is the most important thing.
I'd say any platform that allows anonymous messaging from strangers and disappearing messaging, Snapchat immediately comes to mind. Those are some of the most dangerous by far.
There's some laws moving through Congress right now and the Senate designed to actually put some guardrails around these platforms, especially gaming and social media. I just want to point your attention, we're going to play this at the end, but we have put together these interactive guides where you can look at all the different social media apps here, and you can go and see what they're doing. Or do they have a guardrail? Do they have privacy on there? What's the tutorial to turn on the filtering, to set those buddy limits?
Where is that located? Is that at the back, Donna? Or where can we get it? Is that on your website?
Yeah, this is all on our website. We're creating all these for the Department of Justice. We did one for
I want a copy
smartphones.
of that.
Yeah, but we've got them online.
So if you go to internetsafety101.org, it's on there?
Yeah,
Perfect.
But the tutorials are there because we can't create tutorials, so we're going into these websites and actually, so they will show you how to turn all these controls on because you've got to turn them on, okay? We're going to do a wrap. All right. I think we talked about how parents can make reports and complaints to platforms. They usually have a reporting button, so if anything untoward happens, report it there, and then if you need to, report to law enforcement as well. All right, are we ready to wrap? I am told we are ready to wrap. So thank you all for sticking around with us. Does anyone have anything? DeDe, you didn't get a lot of chance. You want to just add a note before I do a wrap here?
I would make sure that all of you understand, compared to us, the kids are the experts. So yes, set the settings on that, but please understand, when you are charging them outside and you are looking at them, my 15-year-old hates me, every Thursday at a certain time, he knows I'm taking the phone and I'm looking at all his history. So just appreciate the fact you may set the settings, but go back because they can also do that. Anybody that is letting their kids go on YouTube for kids, please understand you have a good chance you're going to meet me on the other side because if it says kids, somebody else is looking for them on that platform also.
That's great. Where kids play, predators prey. Just remember that. If kids are there, predators are going to be there looking for them.
I just want to end, if you would like to have peace of mind, we have our National Child ID kits. These do not go to any national database. You keep it at your home Bible or in a safe deposit box. You just simply have your child, it's inkless fingerprint, and they bite on the end because if a child on the end of a piece of paper, you seal it, you keep it in a Bible, you keep it at home. It's like fire insurance, but if a child goes missing, the three things officers always want is one, an updated photo. That's easy. You have it on your phone. The second, DNA or their fingerprints. You have it here. It is a way for them to both get that Amber Alert out quickly and also have this information to be able to reunite your child. It's in the back room. Feel free to take one with you. God bless you all. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you.
And
All
Donna,
right, so
Donna, I just wanted to quickly thank Pastor Cunningham for hosting tonight's town hall.
yes, thank you so much. Thanks to all of you for coming. And just remember, you're the first line of defense. We're all here to help empower you and equip you to protect your kids online so that they don't suffer some of the horrible things that you've heard happen tonight. At Enough is Enough, you can sign up for free newsletters. We're sending out information every single week on what is happening and how to protect your kids. We've got a lot of resources, internetsafety101.org, but I'm going to leave you with what I think are the 3 top rules and tools. 1, be the trusted adult, and 2, turn on the parental control tools on every single internet device or platform that your kid is using. And the top 3 are filters. They're going to block a lot of dangerous content like pornography and violence and everything else. Monitoring will let you know where your kids are going or trying to go or where they're not supposed to go if they're going there. Check that history because they can go and manipulate that. And time controls. Remember, screen time is a huge issue. So thank you all for coming. Many of us will be up here to answer any additional questions. And if you have to check out and go home, God bless you. And again, thanks, and thanks to our amazing panel.